Hey, what is going on, guys? This video today is going to be hands down the most requested video topic I get on every single one of my comment sections. People have been dying recently for my updated settings and sensitivity that I have changed up a little bit recently over the past few weeks. I made a video showing all of my settings and sensitivities about a month ago, but new people are coming into my channel at a ridiculous rate and they haven't seen that old video. And just to make matters a little better, I changed a bunch of important stuff up from the last settings and sensitivity video. So I decided to show all in this video today the changes, the things I've kept the same, and explain why I'm rocking with the settings and sensitivity that I am. So let's get right into this video with the first major change I've made. And that, if you didn't catch my last video, I finally switched from the standard button layout to the Builder Pro button layout. This change has been a long time coming. I feel like I was literally one of the absolute last players left on the planet that still played on the standard button layout. And I made no mistake about it. Even though I play on standard, I always told you guys that Builder Pro was hands down the best button layout in the game. And the only reason why I still use standard until a few days ago was because I had used it for about 7 months and had absolutely memorized everything in that button layout down to a T. But I finally made the switch to Builder Pro. It's been a bit of a rocky transition, but I feel like I'm finally starting to master it. And with double pump in the game, standard is really no longer a viable button layout. So if you're not on Builder Pro, I would highly recommend switching to it. And if you are on Builder Pro, there should be no reason you ever consider any other button layout in the game. So let's get into the sensitivity, and this is probably what you guys really want to see. So in the last video I was rocking 6.6, but I've changed it up to 7.6. A slight tweak, but still something pretty important that you guys should keep in mind. I just felt like it was time to up my X sensitivity a bit because that is the most important sensitivity for building, because that's your looking left and looking right sensitivity, while your Y sensitivity is looking up and down. I still believe the sweet spot for sensitivity in Fortnite is the 6 to 8 range. If you can use anything higher, that's great, but you have to really make sure you're truly accurate with it. And in my opinion, it's really hard to be accurate with anything over like 7 or 8. So that's why I've always stuck around the 6.6, 7.6 range, and that's what I'm rocking with right now. Controller ADS sensitivity still 0.53, no switch from the last video. As I've said a few times on this channel, I believe 0.45 to 0.55 is the sweet spot here, maybe 0.6 if you use a really high non-ADS sensitivity, and I believe a lot of people have their ADS sensitivity way too high, so if you're over like 0.6, I would definitely consider lowering it. Controller scope sensitivity, I have mine on a 0.45, and that is a change from the previous video. I was previously using 0.4. I felt that that was a little bit low. I feel like the sweet spot here is like 0.4 to 0.6, and I just felt that even though sniping in Fortnite's a more tactical game about being slow and really lining up your shots, I've just been having a little more luck on 0.45 where I can flick shot people with the sniper and just quick lock on at times, so that's why I'm rocking with that. Another slight change I want to discuss is my HUD scale. I've moved that down from 0.1 to 0.9, and what that basically does is make your map smaller, your inventory smaller, the gamer tags and the kill feed a little smaller, and I just feel that in general this has helped me see players a little more. Sometimes I would miss people on my screen because they'd be like out of the corner in my eye and hidden by the map or the inventory or the gamer tags, so scaling this down just a little from 1.0 to 0.9 I feel has made a slight improvement in my game, and a lot of you guys probably haven't touched that setting at all, so consider bumping it down a little if you're at 0.1. I feel like you'll do a better job catching a few more people that would have been hidden in the past. Alright, next up we have some general gameplay settings. I've actually kept all of these the same from the previous video, but even if you've seen the previous video, I recommend staying around for another minute or two because I have totally changed my opinion on one of these settings, which we'll get into in a bit. Sprint cancels reloading, I still have this off. I just feel like a lot of weapons have misleading reload animations, and the time I tried this before, I was just canceling a bunch of reload animations, so don't like it. Aim assist, you obviously want that on. Reset building choice, another major one you definitely want on, because you can't build muscle memory with this setting off, because you're going to be starting on different building pieces every time, so you 100% want this one on. Now, the important one that I've totally changed my opinion on, turbo building. In my previous settings video, I told you guys that I like turbo building, but I very rarely use it. This has changed my game so much in the past few weeks. I have started using turbo building pretty much every single time I build now. And wow, I wish someone had warned me about this earlier. I actually tried using turbo building a lot more because of a comment suggesting that I did from YouTube. And man, it has totally changed my game. Turbo building is great, and I didn't realize how great it was because no one ever really talks about it, and I was going to make a whole video on it because if you are not using turbo building, you are at a huge disadvantage, but I think this is actually the perfect place to discuss it. Turbo building just in general makes everything faster because when you're holding down that trigger, and that's what turbo building does, it basically makes it so every time you're holding the trigger down, it's trying to place a building piece, and as long as you just build normally as if you were tap building, it's basically going to lead to building pieces being placed much faster, much more efficiently than it is with just clicking the trigger building, which is what I was previously doing. It's faster, it's less work and focus tapping the trigger. I know that doesn't sound like a lot of work, but in build fights where you have to focus on like 1,000 things at once, just being able to hold down the trigger instead of consistently tapping it every like second actually does make things a lot easier and gives you more time to focus on the building fight. So yeah, turbo building is one of those things that even though I'm one of the top console players in the world in my opinion, those are one of the very few things that has totally transformed my game. And if you guys do not have this on, definitely turn it on. And more importantly, if you do not use it, make sure to start using turbo building instead of click building. It's a rough transition. It took me a while to really get into the swing of stopping tap building and instead just holding down the trigger. But man, has it changed my building and made me so much better. Controller auto run is just the last thing I want to go over. I like this off because I feel like sometimes it can activate in fights when I don't want it to, and it's gotten me killed 2 or 3 times when I used it, so have this off. But I guess if you're one of those guys that likes to check Twitter or YouTube in the middle of games when you're running straight for like 2 minutes in the middle of a wide open field with nobody within 500 meters of you, it's not the worst setting in the world to have on, unless you notice it making you sprint in fights when you want to build or do something else, because I swear it got me killed like 2 or 3 times in the few days that I used it. So if you haven't noticed that, I'm fine with you using it, but me personally, I like it off. Next up, brightness, and this is something that a few of you guys have asked me to go over. I keep my brightness at 0.79, but I feel like that's in large part due to the fact that I have a really nice TV. Some of my friends tell me they like can't see anything and the game's way too dark, so they use the full 1.0 brightness. So personally, I keep my brightness at 0.79, but it really depends on the TV that you use. So I'll show you my brightness, but I don't really think it'll help you guys very much. And the final thing I want to get into in this video today is this color correction colorblind setting. I had not heard of this until about 2 weeks ago, but it's apparently something that a few of the top players on console use even though they're not colorblind, because they feel like it helps them see the game better or something. I don't really know the reasoning behind it, so I played around with it a little last night and I just noticed it making things look really weird, so I have it, you know, off with 0 colorblind strength. So I don't know what the whole ordeal about that is, but a few of you guys have asked me about my colorblind settings, but yeah, I don't use those because I'm not colorblind, so I don't know what the top players are doing, but that's my personal opinion on it. And one last thing I want to add before I wrap this video up, I get a lot of questions about what controller I use, and more specifically if I play claw. I use an Xbox Elite controller, which isn't a SCUF, but it's basically the Microsoft equivalent to where I have one paddle on the back bound to the A button. What this does is it makes it so that you don't have to take your finger off of the right stick, which helps you aim while in close range battles. So you can basically jump and aim at the same time, while players without any kind of advanced controller have to do either one or the other. Jump or aim, they can't do them simultaneously. So no, I don't play claw, and no, I don't use a SCUF, but I use an Xbox Elite controller, which is basically the equivalent to playing claw or using a SCUF. So take that however you must. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this ends the questions for at least a little while about what sensitivity I use, the settings I use, all of that stuff. And now I'm going to be linking this video to anyone that comments that for the near future. So should make things a lot easier for me. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.